I was in the midst of planning an episode with Colleen Killingsworth and Amy Thurlow about their new book, Rethinking the Table. It's about women leaders. Now, not just getting more women to the table, it's about rethinking the table itself. Then there's a chapter in their book that comes out at me from out of nowhere about the myths of mentorship. Now, I've been a mentor and I've had lots of mentors in my life, including sports coaches going back to when I was in grade school. And mentorship has always meant something different to me than I think what society necessarily deems it to be. And that's exactly what they were talking about in the book. So we did an episode with them, The Five Myths of Mentorship. There's a chapter or more on what you call the five myths about mentorship, and that pop that stood right out to me. These myths that are quietly holding the PR profession back. Walk me through those five myths, because I think the person listening is going to hear themselves in at least a couple of these.
Yeah, no, great. You're absolutely right. And I think these five myths really do hold people back sometimes from getting really good sound mentorship. The myths are: mentorship is for students or junior practitioners. Mentorship is a structured process through a formal program. Mentorship is short-term, defined relationship. Choosing a mentor is pretty straightforward. And mentorship is most useful when you have a problem.
Okay, the unstructured part. Tell me about that, because I love unstructured. I think we learn by playing, kind of.
Yeah. So it's mentorship is not really, in my opinion or our opinion, a structured process through a formal program. It is most effective when it is unstructured. When you find the right mentor relationship, based on the skill set you want to grow or the opportunity you're looking for, and really building that relationship instead of approaching it as a check the box activity where, okay, we need to meet for 2 hours every week and, talk about something. That's not organic. That's not where learning. That's not where relationships are built. So I think that is one of the myths that really needs to be busted and looked at quite differently. And that leads as well to mentorship isn't about a young practitioner looking for a more senior practitioner. It could be a senior practitioner looking for another senior practitioner to really grow their skill set, or advance, their career opportunities. So it is relationship. I think that's the key.
Yeah, and kind of a two-way street, right? I know you're both advocates for so-called reverse mentor. There's no such thing as reverse mentorship. There's just mentorship, but it flows back and forth.
Mentorship, as Colleen has said, it's relational, it's relationship based, not transactional. So it's not a matter of getting mentorship. It's a matter of building, right, this mentorship relationship. And what we heard from the people that we spoke to in our research is that some of the most powerful mentorship experiences they've had have been, when crisis comes up and they need to reach out to a trusted colleague or friend. They go to their mentor. Maybe they don't even use that term when they think of that person, but that's the role that the person fills. And it's not something where, as Colleen was saying, it's a scheduled or programmed kind of event. It's this relationship building piece. And one of the key components of that is it's ongoing and it's a dynamic. And when you think of, in terms of the senior mentor, maybe with more experience, you might sort of the myth of that person has to have the wisdom, and be in the giving role, but just how much pressure that puts on people in that role when they can also be sharing and learning from their mentees, right? If that relationship and balance can be found.
There's a theory that younger folks are increasingly turning to the LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude, and seeking mentorship, or in some cases, I have a real good friend of mine. She's about my age, and her daughter just became a mom. She's in her mid-20s, and the daughter relayed a story to her about having some post-birth challenges that are perfectly normal, but how good it was to have a conversation with someone, ChatGPT, who understood her and empathized with her. Is there a risk that with AI and the tendency, let's face it, for Gen Z and the alphas, they spend a lot more time on their phones. I would say maybe not as intuitively social as you and I used to be at that age. I think there is a risk there.
Oh, I certainly agree. I agree. And I'm just fundamentally, mentorship is a relationship, and it's just not possible to have a human relationship with an AI
Right.
component, right? It's just not possible. And there are many elements to that can be quite concerning. For example, AI is designed to feed back to you what you want to hear. AI components aren't programmed to argue with you, and they might not be, or they won't be in a position to give you maybe some hard truths that you need to hear from your mentor, or to be able to do that in a respectful and nuanced way that allows you to engage in that critical reflection as well. That whole piece, which is a core component of what a mentor, or even in the role of coach or champion, that's part of their role. It's not about just being a cheerleader for you, or just reflecting back what you say. The other thing is, when you're speaking with AI, you actually don't know where is that information coming from. Like it's being pulled from all different sources, but you don't have any context for that framework. When you have a relationship with your mentor, of course, you know the background of the person. You've been through situations at work before, or in your peer group or whatever. You have the frame of reference where you can judge and evaluate what you're going to do with the information. You don't have that in the AI context as a mentee. So I think it's really not having that human piece, not having access to nuance. Like AI can't sit across the table from you and just get a sense from your body language or the way your eyes slide. So they can't read that. A mentor can. And that can be really helpful in terms of how information is delivered and received.
Yeah. And AI can't share with you their experience, their career experiences, how they handled a crisis situation, how they handled, growing their own career. I know that's always the question that mentees ask is, what steps did you take? AI can't tell you that. It's because people's careers go many different ways. AI probably make up something that's very linear, and that's not how people grow their careers. So
No, and it would fake the emotional understanding,
Yeah.
right? I'm sure it would try to empathize with the emotional foundations of my decision. 'Cause I'm a big believer that decisions should be part logic, of course, but that emotion
Yeah.
should not be ignored. It plays a factor in that.
Yeah.
The conference I was at recently, this is different. It's an advisory role, but advisor and mentor, boy, they're cousins at the very least. There was a very senior practitioner who shared a story or a problem that she has. She's at the C-suite table, thank goodness, as a communications professional, but that her CEO is constantly rejecting her advice and strategic counsel because that's not what ChatGPT said.
I mean, that's just shocking.
It is shocking.
I mean,
Large corporation.
Yeah. I mean, their largest investment very likely is their human resources. And here is your, human employee with experience, connections in the organization, expertise in the field, giving you advice as the CEO, and you're weighing that against ChatGPT, which again, I mean, so many issues around that, but at the very least, the fact that the information, you don't know what it was trained on.
Yeah. And the biases, that come into it. And I think that's also when we look at technology, and, it can be a barrier for women leaders as well because of the biases that are trained into it, and especially when you look beyond diversity beyond gender, then you really struggle, I think, with the technology.
I mean, AI can be a very useful research assistant.
Absolutely.
It can help in information gathering, that sort of thing. But in terms of taking that next step to say, is this insight? I mean, I think that's questionable. Or, is this experience? Certainly not, right? It's created from this training. Yeah, I think that's a real challenge.
Let me put you both on the spot. We didn't prep for this. Who has provided mentorship to you? And I'll go first. Mine is non-work related. And sorry, it was sports, but I had a coach once. He didn't create the quote. It's a long-standing quote, but I was feeling sorry for myself and I was tired and I really just, I guess I wanted to quit. I would never have said the word, but I wanted to quit. And I remember him just scratching a note and handing it to me, and it said, "A winner never quits and a quitter never wins," which isn't always true, by the way. You can go much deeper philosophically and understand that there is futility in this life. But it hit the note for me. And every time I feel tired, I realize that life is about, if you're tired, do it tired. And that I carried that with me for life. Mm-hmm. Who was a mentor for, or at least what was the advice that you got that stuck with you the rest of the way?
Well, one of my mentors in my life was a former teacher, a former professor of mine, and then when I started working in academia, which is a bit, I mean, I'm teaching public relations, so I understand the content, but teaching is a whole different craft too. So I really relied on mentorship. And I had the opportunity to work with this professor when I came to Mount St. Vincent. And I remember lots of long conversations after I might have a class and I had a great idea going in and the students just they did not think it was as great an idea, or they didn't engage the way I was hoping, and having someone to talk that through with who's been there, and can give you the advice and say, maybe next time tweak it this way, or here's a time when I had that experience, and I think I don't have like a sentence or a phrase that she gave me, but what she certainly instilled in me was have that trust in yourself and that confidence in yourself that you're going to keep learning, you're going to make mistakes, but you'll grow while you're doing it, and it's rewarding. And I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, and I've been really fortunate to have had many great mentors along the way over my career. Could name names, but I won't. But everywhere from, professors, the university and the graduate level, to especially in the consulting round, organizational leaders who just really gave me opportunities, coached me along the way. And I think, when you said advisor is close cousin to mentor, I think coach is as well. So I see a lot of the mentorship I've had over my career, I consider more as coaching. And, seeing an opportunity, putting me up for that opportunity, just, supporting, being there to discuss challenges. And I've got multiple colleagues that I put in that realm as well, that I continuously learn from and am in awe of, because, they're out there kind of challenging systems. And so mentorship can look like many different things. And so I've been very, very fortunate.
Okay, someone who's listened this far, and if they aren't already a mentor or a protege or a mentee, they're probably thinking about it, either offering to mentor or choosing to seek a mentor. What are the practical first steps specific to public relations?
Yeah, I think it's really getting in and for the mentee or the person seeking that mentor, it's what gap are you looking to fill? What is it you want to learn? What's your objective for the mentorship? So then you really look to seek out the right people or the right person. And well, that sounds a little bit formal in construct. I think it's where you really need to start, and then it can be very organic how you develop that relationship. But going to somebody that maybe their background or their skill set isn't in strategic communications, it's more in advertising, but you want them to be that strategic communicator mentor because you like the person, it's not going to be as successful. So I think really understanding the objective, what you want to get out of it, what you want to put into it, as well as equally as important. And then you've got a starting point for a conversation with that person as to why you want to build that relationship.
And I'll just jump in to add there from the point of view of, so what is the job of a mentor, kind of from that perspective. And it can be pretty organic, as Colleen was saying, in terms of what that looks like. And we talked about the word coach or advisor. We also, in the book, talk about champion, being a champion for someone. And we heard from a number of our participants that their greatest mentors were people who opened doors for them. And I remember one participant used the phrase, saying my name when I'm not in the room, like putting me forward. That's a champion. That's what a good mentor does. And I think mentors do that just intuitively, but I think it's worth highlighting that helping somebody, advance. And we were talking to women about women. They said to us, it's very helpful to have a woman mentor, but not always. It's not only women mentors. And many of our participants had excellent mentorship from male colleagues in their organizations, and they also opened doors and said their name when they weren't in the room. So that piece of it, I think, is key. And also it fuels that relationship, right, of championing somebody through their career.
Perfect. Thank you both for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Very
Thank you,
interesting.
Doug.
Hang on one sec.